Welcome back to our channel Coin Master, where we explore the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and the stories behind the money we carry every single day. Today we are going to talk about a coin that has captured the imagination of collectors around the world, the Liberty Quarter Dollar from the year 1966. At first glance, this coin may look like just another ordinary piece of change, but in reality, it holds an incredible history, a powerful story of transition in American coinage, and a surprising market value that has collectors chasing after it. Some of these coins can reach as high as $442 in today's market, which is extraordinary for a coin that many people still think of as common pocket change. The 1966 Liberty Quarter is part of a very interesting period in the history of United States coinage. The mid-1960s were a time of great change for American coins. Before 1965, quarters were made with 90% silver and 10% copper. But in 1965, the United States Mint made a huge decision to eliminate silver from the quarter and instead move to a copper-nickel-clad composition. This was done mainly because the rising price of silver made it far too expensive to continue producing silver coins for everyday circulation. By the time we got to 1966, the Liberty Quarter was struck in this new clad composition. The coin was composed of an inner layer of pure copper and an outer layer of copper-nickel, giving it the same look as the old silver coins, but with a much different metallic content. Now let's talk about the design. On the obverse, or the front side, you will find the powerful profile of George Washington, the first President of the United States. This portrait was originally designed by John Flanagan and first used on the Washington Quarter in 1932. Even though collectors often call this coin a Liberty Quarter because of the American ideals it represents, the actual portrait is of Washington himself, a true symbol of freedom and independence. Around his portrait are the inscriptions Liberty at the top and In God We Trust to the left, with the date 1966 right at the bottom. On the reverse side of the coin, the design is dominated by a bold and majestic eagle with its wings spread, clutching arrows of strength with olive branches of peace below. Above the eagle are the words United States of America, and right below, the denomination quarter dollar. What makes the 1966 Liberty Quarter so fascinating to collectors today is not only its history but also its rarity in certain conditions. While millions of these coins were struck for circulation, most of them were heavily used in everyday commerce. People spent them at grocery stores, laundromats, gas stations, and everywhere else, which means very few survived in pristine mint state condition. When collectors talk about value, condition is everything. A heavily worn 1966 quarter may only be worth its face value of 25 cents, but if you have a high-grade uncirculated example, or even better a coin that has been professionally graded by a top grading company, then the value can skyrocket. In fact, some of the finest examples with flawless surfaces, strong luster, and sharp strikes have sold for as high as $442 at auction. Another reason collectors love the 1966 quarter is because of its unique place in American coin history. This was only the second year of the clad coinage era, and because of the Coinage Act of 1965, the mint suspended the production of proof sets and special mint sets became the substitute. The 1966 quarters that came from these special mint sets were often struck with extra care, giving them a sharper, more proof-like appearance. These coins are highly desirable today. Some even have special characteristics like cameo contrast, where the raised design elements appear frosted while the background fields are mirror-like. Coins with this feature bring even higher premiums from collectors. The 1966 Liberty Quarter also has its share of errors and varieties. Error coins always generate a lot of excitement in the numismatic world. Some examples include coins struck off-center, coins with double dies, or coins that have clipping errors where part of the metal blank was missing. These mistakes are rare, but when they are discovered, they become valuable treasures. Some error 1966 quarters have been known to sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the severity of the error and the condition of the coin. Collectors are not only interested in the beauty and rarity of the 1966 quarter but also in its connection to American history. This coin marks the end of an era when silver was king and the beginning of a new era where base metals would dominate circulation coinage. It represents the economic challenges of the 1960s, the government's efforts to stabilize coin production, and the ways in which everyday Americans experience change in their pockets without even realizing it. If you are a coin collector or just someone curious about the treasures hidden in your change jar, the 1966 Liberty Quarter is a coin you should definitely be looking out for. Check the condition carefully. Look for any unusual characteristics. If you happen to come across one in brilliant uncirculated condition, you could be holding a coin worth hundreds of dollars. And if you discover one with a rare error or from a special mint set, you may have a coin that collectors will pay big money for. In today's coin market, values are stronger than ever because more and more people are realizing the joy of collecting. Auction records continue to surprise us, and coins that once seemed ordinary are now being recognized as true collectibles. The 1966 Liberty Quarter is the perfect example of this. From just a humble piece of change to a collectible worth $442, it shows us that sometimes the greatest treasures are the ones we overlook every day. So the next time you have some quarters in your pocket, do not ignore them. Take a close look, especially at the dates, and who knows, maybe you will discover a 1966 Liberty Quarter in pristine condition. You never know, that one small coin could turn into a valuable piece of history and a great addition to your collection. Thank you for watching and joining me on this journey into the history and value of the 1966 Liberty Quarter dollar. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare coins, their hidden secrets, and their surprising values, make sure to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with your friends who might also be interested in coin collecting. Stay tuned because we will continue to uncover more incredible stories from the world of coins, where history and value meet in the palm of your hand. Would you like me to expand this script even further with a minute-by-minute breakdown for a 15 to 20-minute YouTube video, so you can stretch it longer with intros, recaps, and dramatic pauses? Or do you want it as a single continuous narration like above? Today we are diving deep into a very fascinating piece of United States coinage history, the Liberty Quarter dollar from the year 1981 with the Denver Mint mark, also known as the 1981 D quarter. You may think it is just an ordinary coin, a simple quarter that buys you almost nothing in today's market, but behind its design, its history, and its rarity in high condition lies a story of value, of collectible significance, and even a surprising market price that can reach as high as $442. The quarter has long been one of the most used coins in the United States. First introduced in the late 1700s, the quarter dollar has taken on many designs over the centuries. By the late 20th century, the most iconic design was the Washington quarter, first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design features the bold portrait of Washington on the obverse, facing left with the word Liberty above his head, the motto "In God We Trust" to the side, and the year of mintage at the bottom. On the reverse is the American eagle, wings spread proudly, perched on arrows and surrounded by olive branches symbolizing both strength and peace. This eagle reverse design is the one that millions of Americans held in their pockets every day, and the 1981 D quarter is part of that history. Now, what makes the 1981 D Liberty Quarter so interesting is not only the design but the moment in American history it represents. In 1981, the United States was facing economic change, inflation pressures, and shifting global markets. Coins from this era were mass-produced for circulation, but among those millions of coins, the Denver Mint struck pieces with varying quality. While most circulated and became worn down over time, a few were preserved in brilliant mint state condition or struck with sharper details than usual. Those coins are the ones that capture the attention of collectors today and drive up their value. When we talk about coin value, it always depends on condition, rarity, and demand. The majority of 1981 D quarters you find in change will still be worth face value, 25 cents, and in circulated condition they usually trade for a small premium to collectors. But here is where the story takes a turn. In uncirculated mint state grades, especially those certified by professional grading services, the value climbs dramatically. A high-grade 1981 D Liberty quarter with sharp strike, full luster, and no distracting marks can fetch hundreds of dollars at auction. In fact, the market has recorded sales reaching as high as $442 for pristine examples. Imagine holding a coin in your pocket that most people would spend without a second thought, only to realize it could pay for groceries, a utility bill, or even a weekend getaway. That is the magic of numismatics. Collectors chase these coins because they represent more than money. They are pieces of American history, artifacts that tell the story of a nation through its coinage. The Denver Mint Mark D located to the right of Washington's ponytail identifies the coin as being produced in Denver, Colorado, one of the major mints of the United States. Coins from Denver are usually struck in huge numbers, but within those numbers lies hidden treasure. The rarity is not about the total mintage, but about finding those few coins that survived in the finest condition possible. Think about it. Millions of 1981 D quarters were produced, but most were used, tossed in pockets, rubbed in cash registers, or spent in vending machines. Each scratch, each nick, each worn edge lowers the grade and decreases collector interest. But the untouched examples, carefully preserved from the very beginning, are like diamonds among pebbles. That is why collectors pay a premium and why the coin has a market value that surprises so many people today. If you are lucky enough to own a 1981 D Liberty quarter, you should carefully examine it. Look at the condition. Does it still shine with its original mint luster? Are the details of Washington's hair sharp and crisp? Is the eagle's feathering on the reverse still bold? Are there minimal contact marks? These are the signs that can indicate your coin is worth far more than pocket change. If it looks promising, you may even consider sending it to a professional grading service where it can be authenticated and given an official grade that proves its value to the collecting market. The history of this coin is a reminder of how sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest stories. The 1981 D Liberty quarter is not made of silver, it is composed of copper and nickel-clad, yet its worth is elevated not by the metal itself but by its condition, its desirability, and its role in the larger story of American coinage. Collectors today value it not just as money but as history frozen in time. As the coin collecting market continues to grow, with new generations discovering the thrill of the hunt, coins like the 1981 D Liberty quarter will always have a place in the spotlight. Whether you find one in a collection passed down from family, in a roll of quarters from the bank, or hidden in your change jar, remember that every coin has a story. And in this case, that story could be worth over $400. So the next time you hold a quarter in your hand, take a moment to really look at it. The date, the mint mark, the details, the condition. Because what seems ordinary may actually be extraordinary. The 1981 D Liberty quarter proves that treasures are still out there, waiting to be discovered. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the history, the design, and the surprising value of the 1981 D quarter dollar. Stay tuned for more stories about the coins you may already have at home that could be worth a fortune. And remember, every coin tells a story, and sometimes that story is worth much more than you could ever imagine. Do you want me to also add timestamp sections so it works like a ready-to-use YouTube script guide for voiceover and editing flow? Today we are diving deep into the fascinating world of the United States Liberty quarter dollar minted in 1986 with the Denver Mint mark, also known as the 1986 D quarter. Now you may think that this coin is just an ordinary piece of change worth only 25 cents, but let me tell you the truth, this coin carries a history, value, and demand that makes it worth hundreds of dollars in the collector's market, and in some rare conditions it can even reach a staggering $442. The 1986 quarter belongs to the long-running Washington quarter series, which was first introduced back in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the very first president of the United States. The design was created by sculptor John Flanagan, who gave us the now iconic portrait of Washington on the obverse side of the coin. His bold and dignified face with the word Liberty placed proudly above reminds every American of the ideals of freedom and democracy. Below Washington's portrait you will see the year 1986, and right next to it on coins struck in Denver you will notice the small letter D which marks its origin from the Denver Mint. In the reverse of this quarter you will find the heraldic eagle designed in a powerful stance with wings spread and arrows clutched tightly in its talons, symbolizing the strength and readiness of the nation. The eagle rests above an olive branch, which is the universal sign of peace and harmony. This combination of strength and peace gave the Washington quarter one of the most respected designs in American numismatic history, and by 1986 millions of these coins were in circulation, yet only a fraction remain in top condition, which is where the story of value truly begins. Now, when we talk about the 1986 quarter, we need to understand the minting process. Coins were struck in the tens of millions that year at the Denver Mint, but not all coins come out the same. Small errors in the striking process, the quality of the metal planchets, and the carefulness of handling can drastically change how rare a coin becomes for collectors. For instance, a normal circulated 1986 quarter that has scratches, wear and tear, and dull luster is typically only worth its face value. However, when we move into the higher grades, things change dramatically. If a coin has been carefully preserved, showing sharp details with no scratches, shiny surfaces, and almost nowhere, it can climb in value quickly. Collectors especially search for coins that have been professionally graded by services like PCGS or NGC. When a coin achieves a high mint state grade such as MS65, MS66, or even higher, the market value skyrockets. A 1986 quarter in lower uncirculated condition might bring in $10 to $20, but once you reach those top-tier grades, the rarity factor makes it a prize worth over $100, $200, and even as much as $442. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that you once thought was only a piece of pocket change, but realizing it could pay for an entire month of groceries or even a new gadget you've been saving for. The story of this coin is not just about its value but also about its place in American history. 1986 was an important year for the United States. The nation was celebrating freedom, liberty, and moving strongly into the modern era. Having a coin minted in that year connects us to that moment in time, and collectors cherish that piece of history in their albums. The Washington quarter in general has been an iconic coin in circulation for decades, but specific years like the 1986 stand out because they have become sleepers in the coin world. They are coins that many people overlook, yet collectors know their true potential. Now let us talk a little more about the details that make some 1986 quarters truly exceptional. Errors and varieties play a big role in numismatic value. For example, if a quarter was struck slightly off-center or if the minting dies clashed and left behind unusual markings, these errors could increase the coin's desirability drastically. Some error coins sell for hundreds or even thousands depending on how dramatic and visible the mistake is. While not every 1986 quarter has errors, it is always worth inspecting your coins under good lighting with a magnifier. You never know what treasure you might discover. The market demand for this coin has been rising steadily as more collectors focus on modern quarters, which means holding on to a high-grade 1986 quarter today could be a smart investment for the future. Imagine in another decade how many fewer uncirculated specimens will exist and how much collectors will be willing to pay. That is why coin dealers, auctions, and online marketplaces continue to report strong sales for this year and mint mark, especially when the coin is certified and slabbed. So the next time you look through your pocket change, your coin jar, or that old collection passed down from a family member, pay special attention to those Washington quarters from the 1980s. Do not dismiss them as ordinary loose change, because the 1986 Liberty quarter dollar could be hiding in plain sight waiting to reward you with a surprising amount of money. To recap, the 1986 Washington quarter is more than just a coin. It is a piece of history, a symbol of liberty and democracy, a collector's prize, and in the right condition, a valuable treasure worth up to $442. This is why collectors love it, and why you should keep your eyes open for it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed learning about this valuable quarter, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another story about coins that could change your life, one coin at a time. Keep searching, keep collecting, and maybe your next discovery will be the 1986 Liberty quarter worth a small fortune. Do you want me to make this script even longer, like a 20 to 25-minute YouTube script with expanded storytelling, more US historical background, and coin collecting tips? Today we are diving deep into the world of American coins, and I promise you this video is going to keep you interested from the very first moment to the very last. We are talking about a coin that many people have seen, many people have held, and most people have spent without a second thought. But what if I told you that a simple coin from 1998 could actually be worth hundreds of dollars in today's market? Yes, I am talking about the 1998 Liberty Quarter Dollar. Now let's start from the very beginning. The quarter dollar, also known simply as the quarter, has been part of United States history for over 200 years. The obverse of the coin features the portrait of George Washington, the very first president of the United States, a symbol of leadership, freedom, and independence. This design was originally introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. It became so iconic and well-loved that it continued to be used for decades. The 1998 Liberty Quarter is part of that classic Washington Quarter series. The year 1998 itself is very important because it marks the final year before the United States Mint launched the famous State Quarters program in 1999. That program introduced 50 different state designs that completely changed the way people looked at quarters. But in 1998, we still had the traditional eagle reverse design, which makes the coin stand out today as the very last of its kind before a major shift in American numismatics. The mint mark D tells us that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Millions of coins were produced there, so at first glance one might think the 1998 D quarter is common and not valuable. But here is where collectors and experts start to look closer. Even though millions were made, not all coins are created equal. Some coins survive in beautiful, uncirculated condition, some have striking errors, and some carry minting characteristics that make them special. This is where the real value comes in. Let us talk about the design details for a moment. On the obverse, we see the bold portrait of George Washington facing left with the word Liberty above his head, the phrase "In God We Trust" on the left, and the date 1998 at the bottom. Below the date is the tiny D mint mark that confirms it came from Denver. On the reverse, we see the American eagle with wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows and surrounded by olive branches, a symbol of both strength and peace. The words United States of America and quarter dollar encircled the design. This is pure classic American coinage at its finest. Now, when it comes to value, condition is king. A coin that has been circulated heavily, showing scratches, wear, and loss of detail, may only be worth its face value of 25 cents. But coins in mint state, coins that never really entered circulation, can be worth a fortune to collectors. The 1998 D Liberty Quarter in pristine mint state condition has sold for hundreds of dollars at auctions. In fact, the current market shows examples reaching as high as $442. That is right, a coin you could have found in your change is valued at over $400 if it is in the right condition. Collectors especially look for coins graded by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC. A grade of MS65 or higher can dramatically increase the value. MS stands for mint state, meaning the coin is uncirculated, and the number indicates just how flawless the coin is under magnification. At MS67 or MS68, the coin becomes extremely rare and highly desirable. That is when the price really climbs. But there is more. Errors and varieties can also make a 1998 D Liberty Quarter very valuable. For example, coins with double die errors, off-center strikes, or planchet problems can be worth far more than the standard value. Collectors love these unique mistakes because they add a special story to the coin. It is no longer just one of millions, it becomes a one-of-a-kind treasure. Imagine someone spending this coin at the grocery store without realizing what they had, and then another person picking it up, recognizing its value, and walking away with a fortune. That is the magic of coin collecting. It turns everyday objects into hidden treasures. The historical significance also adds weight to its appeal. Being the last year before the state quarters, the 1998 D is like the closing chapter of one long era and the prelude to another. It represents the end of the traditional Washington Eagle quarters and the beginning of the exciting 50-state series that inspired millions of Americans to collect coins for the first time. This historical turning point adds emotional and collectible value. So, what should you do if you have a 1998 D Liberty Quarter? First, examine it closely. Look for the D mint mark. Check the condition. If it looks shiny, free of scratches, and with strong details, you may have something special. It is worth comparing with grading standards or even sending it to a professional grading service. A small investment in grading can turn your coin into a certified piece of history worth hundreds of dollars. Another tip is to always check coin rolls and your everyday pocket change. Many valuable quarters are still out there waiting to be discovered. Sometimes whole rolls from banks contain coins that were never circulated. You never know when you might strike gold with a simple quarter. Collectors across the country and even internationally are always on the hunt for these coins, and the demand keeps the value strong. Some rare mint state examples keep increasing in price year after year. That is why experts recommend holding on to high-grade quarters, because their value can continue to grow. To sum it all up, the 1998 Liberty Quarter Dollar is not just an ordinary coin. It is a piece of American history, a symbol of transition, and in the right condition, a coin worth hundreds of dollars. With the current market value reaching as high as $442, it is absolutely worth keeping an eye out for. Whether you are a serious numismatist or just someone curious about coins in your change, this coin proves that treasure can truly be hiding in plain sight. So next time you empty your pockets or get change from the store, do not ignore the quarters. Pay attention to the details, look for the year, check the mint mark, and who knows, you might be holding a small fortune right in your hands. Would you like me to make this script even longer by adding extra storytelling, like comparisons with other quarters, fun historical facts about 1998, or maybe tips on how to sell the coin for maximum value?